Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here today. This is Michael Halper with Sales Scripter, and the topic today is how to clone yourself and scale your sales efforts. So I just want to be clear on what our goal is regarding what we're going to talk about today. We're not talking about making some changes to increase your sales. We're talking about scaling your sales, which means not increasing your sales by 10, 20%. The goal is to make changes to multiply your sales by 2 times, 3 times. That's what I mean when I say scale, and what most people mean when they say scale. I use the word clone very specifically here, and the logic behind that is that you can only work so many hours in a week, and maybe you work a ton of hours, but realistically, there's only so many hours in a week. At some point, you either run out of energy, or you run out of the day, or you run out of hours. And the reality is that there's nothing you can do to buy more hours. You have a fixed amount of time. And when you're doing prospecting, there's only so many hours you can actually prospect to prospects and to contacts. But when you're doing there is some stuff that you can do after hours or on the weekends. But what our goal is to clone yourself by using tools so that you're multiplying what you're doing, or you're getting stuff done without you being involved. And let me use a metaphor to kind of explain that a little bit more. Of course, if you sell something, then there's a number of different sales activities you do. You might make calls, send emails, schedule appointments, go on appointments, do demonstrations. Let's simplify everything to say that all of your sales activities equals you pushing a button, just for like a metaphor standpoint. So in a normal, let's say 40 or 50 hour week, you push that button, let's say 1,000 times or 500 times, whatever that number is. And certainly over time, when you get more experienced, you're going to be able to push that button faster because you're more skilled at pushing the button, and you can do it more times. That's kind of where you sort of sell more by gaining experience. And again, we're not trying to just move the needle a little bit, we're trying to multiply it. So using this metaphor, what I want you to be able to do is to push multiple buttons at the same time. So instead of just pushing one button, you're pushing 3 buttons. And that's how you clone yourself and multiply your efforts, scale your efforts. The other thing that we want to talk about is using tools that allow the button to push itself. So when the button's pushing itself, you can go do something else. So that's our goal here today. Now, just to level set real quick, what I'm going to go through about 16 tips. It's really 16 different tools. So I'm not going to go through all these different slides for each tip. For each tip, I'm going to show you an example of a tool. So we might be able to get through this pretty quick. About a third of the tips will actually be our own tool, and that might seem a little self-serving or promotional, but I just want you to. If you find interest and develop interest in our tools, then that's great. But if the neutral mindset that I have going into that is that as I'm showing you these tools, I'm going to show you external tools too that I have no financial connection with, but I want you to get ideas. Now, of these 16 things, some of them you may already be doing, some of them you may already know about, some of them might not apply to you. So my hope would be, out of the 16, maybe there's 2 or 3 ideas you can take, and if these are tools or processes or tactics you like, most everything I'm showing you is pretty easy to implement right away and leverage. The other thing is that I want to just be clear that a lot of what I'm going to show you really is something that more of a independent salesperson or a sales manager or a business owner could do, compared to, say, a frontline salesperson that just sells and works for like a big corporation. Because in that situation, you might not really either want to spend money on other tools, or you might not have the authority or be empowered to do some of the things I'm going to show you. It's about half and half. So if you are a frontline salesperson at a, carrying a bag for a big company, you could either, tune out and move on, or you could stick with us and just kind of, not worry about the stuff that doesn't apply to you. So I just want to level set that on the front end. These 16 tips I've grouped together in about 5 or 6 different categories, and so there's like 3 or 4 tips with each category. The first one being leveraging email, right? So again, we're talking about how to push that button more time. So we want to push the button more within the hours that we have. We want to push multiple buttons at the same time, and we also want to get the button pushing itself. So some of the ways we can do that is, one is, I would ask you, are you using email templates? And what I mean by email templates, let me show you an example. So I'm going to go to Sales Scripter just to show you an example, because Sales Scripter has email templates. And when I say email template, when I was a salesperson, I figured out pretty quickly that when I'm prospecting, I'm sending a lot of the same emails again and again. I'm emailing somebody that I haven't spoken to before. Maybe I just left someone a voicemail and I'm sending them an email to follow up my voicemail. Maybe I spoke to someone and they said, call me back on another day, or send me your information. These are all really common scenarios, and what I noticed pretty quickly was, when you're in those situations, you're typing out these emails, hitting send, and then you find yourself in that situation, and then you're typing an email again. So whether you use a tool like ours or any tool, you don't need to buy a tool to do this, by the way. I would create email templates for your common scenarios. Like Sales Scripter is loaded up with, like, we call them pre-call emails. These are emails that you haven't spoken to someone before, but like, here's a pre-call email focusing on pain points, right? So this is a prospecting email. You could, Sales Scripter provides these to you, but you could certainly just take a Microsoft Word document and sit back and think, okay, or here's a better way for you to create these on your own if you don't purchase a tool like ours, is when you're sending an email and typing it out, think to yourself, is this an email that I send a lot, or is this a situation that's going to pop back up? And if it is, copy that email that you just wordsmithed, maybe out of your email program, and dump it into like a Microsoft Word document and save it. Put it in a folder. And as you do that, you'll start to build up your own set of email templates. So I just want to point that out real quick. Now, getting back to the button metaphor, what that allows you to do is it allows you to reduce the time that you're spending typing emails, which allows you to push the button more times. It's going to make you more efficient, and that's going to help you to scale your results. The next thing I want to talk about is automating your emails. If you're emailing a prospect that you haven't spoken to, you're sending what we would call a cold email, a prospecting email. You probably know that it's usually going to take you multiple emails to get connected with that individual. Not only probably multiple emails, but also probably calls in parallel with that. But what you could do is, if you create whether you use email templates or not, you're going to be manually sending these emails if you don't use a tool. So with our system, and again, you could just take some ideas with this. There's other tools you can use out there, but you typically have to subscribe to a piece of technology to automate emails. But like, we use a thing called email threads, and so like, this is multiple emails tied together. And just to show you what this looks like, this is what you get out of the box with Sales Scripter, but this is a 6 email thread. So you have a value proposition message, pain point message, customer example, and so on, and then it ends with a last attempt. Now that's a series of emails. You could manually send those one at a time and set a reminder for yourself. But with a tool like ours, if you click send and send this through our system, we schedule out those future emails. So what that allows you to do is, if you might send this first email to someone, but the other emails are going out without you knowing about it. And what that is, when we're talking about scaling your results, that's the button pushing itself. So if you do that over a large number of contacts, that's a great example of cloning yourself. The software is doing the work for you. So that allows you to basically take yourself and multiply yourself, which should ideally, if your message is good and your strategy is good and your efforts are leading to X results, if you multiply yourself, then you're going to multiply your sales results in theory, or you at least should increase them fairly well. The next tip is to leverage mass email capabilities. So this would be, I mean, you could use your email program, like let's say use Outlook or Gmail for sending out email. You can blind carbon copy like a list of people. That's not real effective because you're not going to be able to address the email to each individual. You know, that's referred to as a mail merge, where you have an email template and it inserts the person's name in the email. So typically you'll need some sort of program to do that. But the goal is, instead of sending one email at a time, which would be pushing the button once at a time, you want to send emails to a list of people. And that is not only pushing, a couple buttons at once, that's hitting a whole bunch of buttons at the same time. So that's again where you really begin to clone yourself and scale your results. Now, just to show you an example of, like in Sales Scripter, you can create a list of contacts and send like this email thread that I showed you. We could send this to an individual person, or we could send this out to a whole list of people. Like you're attending this webinar right now, and I have a whole list of people in Sales Scripter that have attended webinars, and I could hit send and send all of those people this series of emails. So this really isn't revolutionary, but let this at least be a reminder that if you're not using some sort of technology for that, then you're pushing the button more times than you should. You can use technology to really become more efficient. And using email drip campaigns. So I just showed you a string of emails, and I would really consider that like an email thread, a cold email series of emails. An email drip campaign is more of an email that just kind of drips out to a prospect, usually to a list of prospects over a period of time. Those typically are more marketing emails than prospecting emails. These are more, what I've shown you so far are more prospecting emails. These are more text-based, designed to be one-to-one. Even knowing we might send them one-to-many, they're designed to look one-to-one. Now, we actually, and so I'm going to use a tool outside of Sales Scripter. So we actually use MailChimp for our email drip, and I would consider these marketing emails. And so if you're on this webinar, you likely got invited to this through one of our marketing emails, and this is MailChimp. And I do recommend MailChimp. Again, I'm not financially tied to their company, but like this is an email drip campaign in MailChimp. This is for our ebook. So if you go to our website, you might end up opting in to get our ebooks. And if you get our ebooks, every 5 days you'll get another email from us. And these are marketing emails, so they'll have our logo. They don't come from an individual, they come from our company. So these are slightly different than prospecting. But again, we're talking about cloning yourself and scaling your results. So the way that this helps you to do that is, one is the software is doing all the work. So I mean, every day people are getting these emails that at some point they opted into our ebook. So no one at our company is having to watch that, monitor it, push the button at all. It's all automated. The button is pushing itself, and it's not only pushing it once, it's pushing it a whole bunch of times every day. Again, this is where we're talking about multiplying your efforts. So that's real effective. The other thing that is effective in that, and that this really doesn't necessarily get to the cloning of yourself, but drip campaigns are really effective because usually when you end up on the phone or meeting with a prospect, you can often end up in a situation where they say no, and that's their objection. And it's usually, a lot of the time, it's not no, I never need what you sell. A lot of the times, at least if you end up in more qualified appointments, it's often that you end up hearing no, not right now, right? They don't have money, they already use something, and so but they might think what you have is a decent fit. So, but it's just no, not right now. Well, instead of trying to time it right where you call that person, which again would be pushing a button and managing something, you can, if you can get them on a drip campaign, you can stay fresh in their mind, so that when no becomes okay, maybe we're getting close to needing this, they will not have forgotten about you. So it's a really effective tool. Let me point out one thing. So you might see that list, and you actually might see, you might think, okay, I need some cold emails. I don't know what to put in those. Or I love your drip campaign idea, but I don't know what to put in all those email templates. Because, by the way, I just showed you MailChimp. There's a lot of setup that goes into creating those templates in MailChimp. So you could have the best software that sends out emails, and they provide tools that make it easy to make them look nice. But if you don't know what to put in those, or don't really take the time to do that, then that tool is not going to be very effective for you. So what I want to do, and you might have that thought of, well, I really wouldn't know what to put in those. So I just want to point out, here's an approach to give you ideas to put into all those different things I just went through. So we at SalesScripter, we really try to help you to build your pitch. And a lot of people use us to build their pitch to create a script for their cold calling. But your pitch really impacts everything you say to someone, whether that's over the phone or in appointments, but also in the emails. And so this one slide kind of outlines our approach to building your pitch. On the left side is really what most people use when they come to us, and I would consider this a product selling pitch, sales pitch. So it's, this is who I'm with, this is what we sell, this is how it works, this is how much it costs, do you guys need what we sell? That's kind of, when people send emails or call someone, what they say is kind of around that, and we don't want you to do that. So what we want you to do is to create a consultative sales pitch, focusing more on how you help, the problems you help to fix, asking good questions. Probably good questions would be questions to see if someone has the problems you fix, sharing examples of others you've helped, sharing how you're different from other options, sharing the ROI that you could deliver, and starting conversations, not necessarily trying to close deals. So that's where we want to get you, and we have tons of webinars that go through each of those steps. So I don't want to do that here today, but the reason why I show you this slide is because all that stuff on the right you can use to create your email templates and to create your drip campaign. The drip campaign that I scrolled through on the MailChimp side, basically there are emails for those different topics. Like, if you think about the different benefits that you provide, the different ways that you help your customers, each of those benefits could be a marketing email. Think about if you help someone to automate a very time-consuming process. Well, you could create an email about that. So what you can use what's on the right there to create all of those emails that I mentioned before. Moving on to the next topic, and this is one that's more that doesn't really necessarily apply to the frontline corporate salesperson. So either bear with us if you're still here. But the next one is content marketing. So content marketing, again, we're trying to get the button being pushed without you pushing it, and these are great tools that to communicate and to sell without you having to do it. So the first one is a website blog. Now I'm going to show you our own blog just as an example. So this is our blog, and there's literally probably thousands of blog posts on our blog. We've been posting blog posts every few days for six years or so, and so those have added up. And what happens is that people end up at our website and they end up in our blog, and they're learning about not necessarily our product, but how we help. Really, the problems we help to fix. All those topics that I just shared with you in our sales pitch is what all of these blog posts are about. And so the blog can be selling for you while you're doing other stuff. Create ebooks. I don't know if you, now some of this, there is a chance that you're in a business where it doesn't really make sense for there to be an ebook or any kind of deliverable like that. But if you do sell something and you could create some sort of ebook around your product or your service, maybe it's tips, maybe it's a how to do something, and then again, that is a way for you to deliver your message. See, we have ebooks here. That's one way that you might have ended up at this webinar is by downloading our ebooks. So when you went, if that were the case, when you went to our website and you saw a form to get our ebooks and then you read our ebooks, all of that is us selling to you without us there needing to be a human. So again, that's where you're getting the button to push itself and you're not even involved. The ebooks also are a great call to action on your blog. You can put a button on the side that says, while they're reading your blog, there's a button to say that says get an ebook. You could host webinars, which is what we're doing here today. So this is another way for you to broadcast your message and whatnot, and you can create videos. So I just want to show you regarding videos. I want to show you a little bit of data under the hood for our company, and this is our dashboard for on YouTube for Sales Scripter. And this is a bit personal, and these numbers, I mean, we're a small company and we haven't been around forever. So you could look at, I'm nervous to share these numbers with you, but they prove a point. And these numbers in some eyes of some could be small, and in the eyes of some they could be big. But I wanted to show you views. Now we have hundreds of videos on our YouTube channel for Sales Scripter, and in the last 30 days there were 21,000 views. And most of these videos are for helpful videos like what you're watching today. What you're sitting in on today, this webinar, will be recorded and added to our set of videos on YouTube, and those are being watched every day. And again, really, when we're talking about cloning ourselves, this is how we have cloned ourselves. And so 21,000. So here, let me throw another couple of numbers at you. So we do these webinars and we usually get a few hundred people attending. And I could share that number with certain people and they would go, that's great. You got 100 people to your weekly or every couple of week webinar. That's really cool. Well, you know what? It's not really that cool. What's really cool is that 21,000 people in the last month watched the webinars. That number blows the couple hundred away. So what's really exciting, and when you're sitting here, yeah, you're presenting to the 200 people or a couple hundred people, whatever the number is, and that is pushing multiple buttons at one time, which is good. But what's really cool is getting the videos onto YouTube and getting them being found in searches or putting ads for them, where they're doing all the work while you're either sleeping or doing something else. Again, let me go back to this same slide about the sales pitch, because you might see what I just shared with you. Webinars, videos, blog, ebooks, and you might say, well, that's all cool, but I don't know what to put in our blog, and I don't know what to create ebooks on or do webinars on. Well, and I would push you to come back to this pitch. Come back to your sales pitch. Again, your sales pitch isn't just what you say when you're calling people up. This can impact all of those things. Each of these things on the right side, and by the way, the stuff on the left doesn't really make good stuff for your blog. Like if you put a blog post about your company, that's not something that somebody wants to read. Your blog should be helpful or insightful or providing value. And so if you think about, again, the problems you help to solve or the benefits, those are all great blog posts. Let's say that you help someone to breathe better when they sleep, right? Well, and that's a benefit. You help someone to improve how they breathe when they sleep. So that's a benefit. On the opposite of that could be a pain point, which is people aren't able to sleep because they're not able to breathe, or they have breathing problems when they sleep, whatever. That's the problem. So you can see kind of the inverse relationship there between the benefit and the problem. Either way, both of those are great blog posts or ebooks, right? You could create an ebook on 5 ways to improve how you sleep at night, and it's all around breathing or using devices or whatever, So if you go through this and brainstorm the content for your pitch on the right side, you have content there to create all those deliverables, and that's really the foundation of you doing content marketing. And again, I know that doesn't really apply to the salesperson who's just out there selling, but if you can impact those areas for yourself, you could be an independent salesperson like an insurance broker and not have any of those things, and maybe not have thought about it. You're just out there, selling your products. Well, you could probably create a blog, and let's say you help people with signing up for the healthcare enrollment. You could have a blog about healthcare plans and the challenges with an open enrollment, or explaining different what is coinsurance versus copay or whatever. So you can use what's on the right to create your content. And again, getting back to cloning yourself, all of those deliverables will do your selling for you, to where you can either go travel around the world or be working out. When you're out there networking and shaking hands, all those tools are doing selling for you as well. So the website traffic, I just talked to you about, putting ebooks on your website and having a blog on your website, and maybe putting some videos on your website. Well, you want to do some things to get traffic to your website. Again, we're talking about scaling your sales. And so a lot of websites, if you don't do a good job of driving traffic to your site, then the only people that end up at your site is people that you tell to go there. Like if you give someone your business card or whatever, and it has your website address, and they end up going to check you out, or they check you out by clicking on one of your emails, that's not great. That is the equivalent of pushing the button with one finger, one at a time. You want the buttons being jammed down with both hands when it comes to website traffic. And there's a couple ways to do that. So one is organic search. So this is what you would hear of as search engine optimization, organic search engine optimization. But I just typed up, this is like a phrase we get organic search traffic on. So I put in sales script example, and this is the results, okay? And so you can see here there's some other companies. We used to be number 1 on this phrase, so it changes. But like, here's our website. So it is the 4th result for that phrase. So we get a decent amount of traffic. We get about 30,000 visitors a month to our website. So again, I'm letting you see under the hood a little bit. That number again could be small to some and big to others, the way they view that. But we get about 30,000 visitors a month to our website. And anyways, there's a lot of things that I don't want to go into detail on search engine optimization here, but the point here is to do things to drive traffic to your website, and then the website is going to be doing selling for you, instead of you just it just being a brochure for you. And so this is just an example of, if you can get it so that for phrases that are tied to your business, that your business comes up. And these are organic search is free, so this is all free. These are not ads, so we did not pay anything for this. There's a lot of things we had to do, and I'll just real quick, one thing that we did to help make this happen is, I told you that we have thousands of blog posts on our website. That's one thing that we did. We've done a lot of stuff, but Google sees us as an authority on this keyword because we have a lot of blog posts with that phrase. Now the other thing you can do is pay-per-click advertising, and if you aren't familiar with that, let me just show you an example real quick. So here are some examples of pay-per-click advertising. So I just typed in sales training, a pretty competitive phrase, but you can see here 1, 2, 3. These are ads, okay? And then you have, these are organic, meaning what that means, if you're not familiar, these people paid to have their company here, and these are all free, okay? And it's nice to be one of the free ones. So we've done a good job of getting in there for free. So like, we don't really do any ads right now. We've done some in the past, but if it can, if you're not able to get the organic going, you can do ads. And the nice thing about the ads is you only pay when someone clicks on it. So you're getting traffic to your website, and you're paying for visitors, and you're not. It's really nice because you could put up a billboard on the side of the highway, and you don't really know who comes to your business. You don't know what your return is and whatnot. Here you're going to get great data. So again, I don't want to go into all the details on pay-per-click advertising, but the main point is, again, if you want to clone your sales efforts, meaning instead of you're working 40 hours a week, you instead turn it into there's like 4 of you working 40 hours a week. This is this is one of the elements to that. So check that out. All right, and if for the salespeople that are sticking with us now, we'll get back, we're going to get back to some stuff that impacts you more directly, but prospect meetings, we are able to do. We're able to get creative and consolidate prospect meetings, and I'll give you an example. We get requests for demos. So on our website, we have buttons for request a demo. Okay, so we get a lot of inbound requests for demos. Now, if we responded to all those demos and just met with those people one at a time, then we would be pushing the button once. So what we try to do is we try to reply to those and give them the option of signing up for a public demo. And what we end up with is about half of the people we still meet with one-on-one, but half of them end up going to a public demo, and then we end up being able to deliver a demo to a group of people. And so that's the equivalent of pushing multiple buttons down at the same time. That applies to our business. I guess that applies to a business where you're delivering some sort of standard presentation, standard demonstration, and you could drive people to more of a consolidated meeting. I know that might not apply to a lot of people, so just take that for whatever it's worth. And the next one is, so we're just talking about consolidating meetings. Another way to communicate to multiple people at the same time is through utilizing webinars, which we've already talked a little bit. But if the typical prospect meetings that you deliver could be in more of a webinar format, getting creative in that way is a way to consolidate steps, right? What I'm trying to communicate here is instead of communicating with one person at a time, you're able to communicate with one-to-many instead of one-to-one. The other thing is that you could record and replay these meetings. So a good example of that is that this webinar is going to be recorded, as I already mentioned, and it's going to be put on YouTube. And then every time someone views this, we're not having to deliver the same message. It's all recorded. So again, that's a great way to clone yourself. Now, something that's really unique, and it's fairly new. I mean, I started learning about these about a few years ago, but we're here on a webinar, and you may be listening to this live, or you may end up watching this on YouTube. So you have live and you have recorded. One thing that is coming up nowadays is that you're able to automate webinars, and we use GoToWebinar. And again, I'm not really affiliated with GoToWebinar. I'm a customer of theirs, but I just want to show you. So what they have, and I'm just kind of, I guess, promoting their product, but I just more want to give it as an example. They have a simulated webinar, and see, it is this right here, recorded. So the way that it works is, you basically you can record a webinar, and then you schedule it, and so then when people attend, it appears that they're attending a live event, and it's really recorded. And if you were only to display the recorded event once, then you may not. It kind of defeats the purpose. You record it once and play it once, so you might as well have just delivered it live. Where this really comes in handy is that you could record an event and then replay it multiple times, and it's a little bit different than doing things on YouTube. On YouTube, it's clearly a recording. What this is you could drive people to an event. that there's not a human behind the scenes. Let me give you an example. So let's say this webinar that you're attending right now is cloning yourself, right? Well, if we recorded this, we could put this on our calendar, let's say once every other week for 3 months, and do it at different times and different, like in the middle of the night for people international. And as people come to our calendar of events, they're attending this webinar, and every time they think that it's live, and there's a little bit of a different experience when they think they're signing up and attending a live event versus watching something on YouTube. So you might have a better retention rate, better opt-in, and you might get contact information for them registering for your event versus you don't get any contact information when they watch your event on YouTube. So again, just trying to give you another idea of how to sort of clone yourself, right? So you can see there that is one way. All right, social media, as you know, is a big thing that is being used for prospecting. Not really revolutionary idea here, but again, getting back to like pushing the button and pushing the button multiple times at the same time, or pushing multiple buttons, whatever. Broadcasting your message through, let's say, LinkedIn. Like on LinkedIn, you may have a set of contacts, right? If you put a post on there, you might deliver your message to a percentage of your connections. Like I think I have like 6,000, 6 or 7,000 connections. So if I put a post on there, I'm able to hit broadcast to that audience. Of course, not everybody, but a certain sliver of that. And the bigger my connections gets, the better that broadcast frequency, or whatever you want to use. The better the bandwidth that I'm able to broadcast at. So that's it. It's not real revolutionary, but it is a way to go from pushing the button one time to doing more. Okay. One small thing, in case you aren't aware of it, but you can automate your posting by using tools, and I just want to give you an example here. I use Hootsuite. So again, no affiliation with this company, but like on Hootsuite, I have 19 accounts, 19 social media accounts, and I can put a message and put a link and click submit, and Hootsuite will connect to all of these accounts. So again, we're talking about being more efficient, doing more with each step. Instead of just going to instead of doing the same thing 19 times, or instead of just going to one site and only posting once, you put it here and it does it 19 times. So there's other tools out there. This is the one that we use. But all right, and we're in the last category here, so we're in the home stretch. But the last one is to outsource. So if you're doing everything yourself, you might not have realized this, or it might have seemed too difficult. But you can outsource some of your work so that you get a lower skilled person doing some of the grinding stuff. For example, you could outsource your cold calling. Now, we help with this, and I'll show you a little bit of Sales Scripter. But the thought of outsourcing your cold calling could be, you could end up spending more time getting that set up and hiring someone than you would have if you just made the calls yourself. And if that's the case, you're probably better off just making the calls yourself. But if you can get someone good that spends a few hours a week making calls for you, and then you go do either you do more strategic stuff, or you're also doing calling, or you have someone setting appointments, and you spend your valuable time going on the appointments or going networking. I mean, an ideal way to slice this is that you have a very low skilled person who's just cranking out calls and setting appointments, and you might go do networking, because it's hard to really outsource someone to go network on your behalf. You need to be out there shaking hands, but you can easily get someone to do all the grinding cold calling work. And we kind of hit a home run there regarding Sales Scripter. So one of the biggest challenges with hiring someone is, first of all, is finding someone to work for you. So we do have an area in Sales Scripter called staffing, and there's an area called labor pool, where there are actually people that have applied for cold calling work at home positions, and you can click on these people and view their resume and contact them and try to hire them. And there's some interviewing tools here, but the main thing is the labor pool. You can find people to do calling for you. The vision for this, by the way, this is fairly new, but the vision for this is that these will be people that are very familiar with our methodology, and that makes them very easy to hire. Right now, these are all pretty new people to our system, so but the real big thing that we offer you is the playbook. I showed you some emails, but we also have call scripts. And when you hire someone to do calling for you, the real challenge is doing a knowledge transfer of all the stuff that's in your head and getting it into their head. As that can take time, it can be difficult, and whatnot. So, with our approach, we make it real easy for you to train them on the key things they need to know. And it kind of goes back to that slide where I showed you the consultative sales approach, where it's benefits, pain points, questions. And what we do is, so that's the kind of stuff that is real easy to teach someone. And in our playbook, those key details are all over the place. And someone can be an outsider to your industry and not have any knowledge about what you need them to call about, and you can teach them those consultative details really quickly. Now, they might not know how your product works and how it's delivered and how it's priced and be able to answer a lot of questions, but that's what they're setting the appointment for. So with our approach, you can easily get someone hired, ramped up, and calling and doing all the grinding work for you without a lot of time and headache. So that's something we really hit a home run with. Just want to point that out. And the other thing that you could possibly outsource is you could always maybe hire a virtual assistant. So maybe this person isn't doing calling, but maybe they're doing more administrative stuff for you. So I don't know, maybe instead of you spending your valuable time working on your expense report, they're doing your expense report, or whatever you can get off of your plate, so then you're selling more and you have someone else doing that. Again, this is all about being more efficient and scaling, right? So if you can hire someone to do your work, then you do other stuff. You're cloning yourself. You're doubling your effort. And just FYI, if you're not familiar, Upwork is a great place to go to find resources to hire for all different stuff. I show this to you specifically for virtual assistant. You could hire someone overseas for very cheap. I mean, sometimes a dollar an hour. But you could also use Upwork to find cold callers. I talked to you earlier about your blog and website and ebooks and search engine optimization. You can also find people on Upwork to help you with all of those as well. So you might be familiar with it, but if not, Upwork. And there's other sites similar to this, but this is one that I've used for a long time. And that's pretty much it. Again, a lot of common stuff. It's not revolutionary, not rocket science. Those are all things that we do here internally, and they've helped us to scale with a very small team here. And really, we've been able to do a lot by driving traffic to our website, having good email drip, consolidating, doing a lot of webinars, putting a lot of stuff on YouTube. So I know that depending on what you sell, some of that stuff doesn't apply. Depending on your role, some of that stuff you can't really have a say in. So my hope is maybe there's 1, 2, or 3 things that might have gave you an idea of something you can change on your side. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, this is being recorded and will be posted to YouTube and will be sent out to you within the next 24 hours. And if you found anything of value in this webinar or in any of our others, my request for you is, We do this to try to help you and deliver value to you at no cost. And if you want to return the favor to us, it's real simple. You could just like, comment, or share, or subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And we would it is one way that you could do something small without spending any money, and it actually helps us tremendously. So when you like our videos, then I showed you our views, which again, that actually, if you when you like our videos, you're helping us to clone ourselves, because those 20,000 views a month is very correlated with how many people are liking our videos. So it's a good way for you to return the favor. If you've found something interesting in this video or any of our others and you want us to help you more, the way that we help is we offer a system called the Smart Sales System. So smart because it's going to help you to be smarter, and we help you to be a smarter salesperson or business owner because we focus on your sales messaging and response tactics. So we are one of the only programs and training curriculums out there that really teach you exactly what to say. We believe your words are your best sales tool. By the way, I've shown you a bunch of tools here today, right? I believe your best sales tool is the words you use, whether that's out of your mouth or writing in an email. If you have all the best tools and the best work ethic, but you're not saying the right stuff, your efforts could lead to zero results. In some businesses, you get credit for working hard and doing a good job, but not doing things right. In sales, you could have zero results and be working your butt off. There's no second place trophy, when you lose a deal. So, anyways, we focus on getting you to communicate at your best, and we do that. I showed you the slide with the consultative sales pitch. That is where we help you to develop your sales messaging, and it's not just about getting you to say the right stuff. It's also about helping you to respond in the right way. So how are you responding to objections? It's not just about getting you to ask questions. It's about how are you responding to the questions, to the answers to the questions you get. So we teach you that, and we call this a sales system versus a training program because it truly is a system. It's actually a two-part system. So part one is a methodology. So we have a process and a methodology for cold calling, emailing, dealing with objections, setting appointments, getting around gatekeepers. All these areas in this box are part of our methodology. Okay, and you can access and learn our methodology through our books, through our training videos on YouTube. We provide live sales training, we provide one-on-one coaching, and we provide sales consulting. So that is how you can access our methodology, and we provide that help directly. A lot of our customers are frontline salespeople, but we also work with managers, helping them to teach their salespeople. Now, the second piece to this two-part system is a software platform, and the software platform completely aligns with the methodology. So it's like a hand and glove, right? The methodology teaches you how to cold call. The software platform provides you scripts of how to cold call according to our approach that we teach you. So the two go hand in hand, and that's really what makes what we offer a system. Because you could read a sales book, or you could attend a sales training workshop, and that's not, in most of those cases, those aren't systems because they're difficult. They can be difficult to implement. You could get back to your desk after being in a 3-day sales seminar and really not know how to implement all those things that they talk to you about. With our approach, since you have a software platform that actually helps you to implement it, it's a true system. Now, you could just use one part of the system only. We have plenty of customers out there that don't use our software, but they're all about our methodology. They've been all through YouTube and download our ebooks and whatnot, and that's fine. You could actually do that for free. We give away our methodology for free. Uh, and the reason why we do that is because our business strategy is to get you using our software. Not that we want to sell you our software in without you needing it, but we feel like if you love our methodology, at some point you're going to eventually probably use our software. And there are some people out there that only use the software but don't use the methodology. And while that's great because they're a customer of ours and they're paying a monthly subscription, it's not optimum to not use our methodology. But you could use our software platform and whatnot. So, anyways, that's the smart sales system. If you want more help from us, that's the way that we can help you in those two different ways. And the way that the software is priced, it's $49 per user per month. We do give a big discount for an annual subscription of 40%. The sales training you can get on for free on YouTube, and we do provide a scripter walkthrough, which is a 2-hour coaching engagement where I personally go through the software with you. There's a feature in the software called a sales pitch builder that takes you through identifying the benefits for your product, the pain points, the questions, and all those different things. And I actually go through and help you to brainstorm all those and wordsmith them. It's really productive, and it's only $200. So I could charge, as productive as those meetings are, I could charge a lot more. But again, our goal is really just to have you be a successful user of our software. So I kind of consider $200 really at cost, like the bare minimum that I would spend 2 hours with someone. So it's a good value, and one way to look at it is for basically $249, you basically will get a full library of documents that are tailored to your business and your industry and your product, and they're written by me. So when I say by me, if you don't know who I am or don't care for any of my stuff, that doesn't mean anything to you. But if you've watched some of our videos, you may like some of the stuff that I've shared as examples or my line of thinking. And if you do appreciate what I bring to the table, you're able to basically have me personally write out a whole bunch of stuff for you for $250. So just think about it like if you were in a bookstore and you saw a book of all these documents that were custom tailored specifically for you, written by me. Again, the by me only means something if you appreciate the stuff I've put together. But and the price on it was $250. Most likely, you'd probably see that as a pretty good deal, for what you get. So, anyways, that is how we can help you. Here's my contact info. I'll hang out for a minute or two to see if there's any questions.